Hey gang, Derek here with another awesome Windwheeler video. Today, we're going to do a little bit of a Windwheeler special. Basically, I'm just going to talk about the making of my most recent stop motion, the Defenders Fight Kingpins Hostile Takeover. So, I've got some footage of, while I was making it that I'm going to kind of play through, and I'm going to kind of just talk about my process and sort of how I go about making stop motion. And yeah, I've done one of these videos before back in the day. I did like an X-Men one, and I talked a little bit about my process back then, but obviously it continues to evolve, and I thought I'd just do another little address about it, and it's just kind of cool to see behind the scenes footage and stuff. So yeah, so first off, I guess I'll just talk a little bit about like my timing. So yeah, basically I think it took about 9-10 months to make this one. The first month is probably just kind of conceptualizing. I mean, I've been thinking about this one for probably over a year at least. So I guess you could say there's an extra 2-3 months of just kind of thinking about it. And I'll always start with the display, so I'll start putting figures on display and kind of pairing characters and sort of thinking and coming up with stories in my head that I could potentially make, just basically playing. So yeah, I guess the first month I finally start putting pencil to notebook. Which, yeah, I sort of swear by the notebook. I kind of put it into paper first, it's all scribbly typically, and you can't really make out any of my words and stuff. But it's sort of just my chaos of ideas, and then after that it goes into a good copy, which I use Google Docs for. It's good to use. It's a good sort of word processor to use, I guess, just because you can share your documents with other people, and most people have a Google Drive or have Google accounts, so it's been a pretty useful tool just for getting scripts out there and being able to show like live edits and stuff. So when I'm writing, I kind of block it out into sort of there's sort of a couple steps that go through. So my rough copy kind of begins with I start out with kind of a heading of like, these are the characters I want to use, these are the locations I'm going to build for sets, and then I put in the moments that I want to happen. So these are like the staple moments, and I kind of bullet point the moments that I want to see happen. And like I said, I already have an idea in my head of the sort of story I want to tell, and this is just getting those initial ideas written down. And so that's kind of my first initial draft in the notebook, is just writing that sort of, and at the very top I'll write like the theme as well for the stop motion. So so the theme for Defenders was something kind of like, even if you fail like to sort of continue anyways. I mean, it's kind of a loose theme, but and I'm sort of thinking also about the overarching theme of the whole trilogy, which of course started with the Heroes for Hire stop motion. These characters basically get absolutely destroyed, and then it's more about me getting them back in and eventually defeating this like ultimate evil that seems to be insurmountable, which I guess is kind of the theme for a lot of superhero stuff. But I think as I go along, like, I want to kind of put more thought and time into like the theme, and themes are such a difficult thing to kind of to work with, but they're super integral because they kind of basically will flavor everything that you do, every character choice, everything that you do basically. But yeah, so once I've got this outline, I move on to just writing the script, and it's still in the notebook, and then I'll put out all the scenes, go scene by scene, and using my bullet points as kind of a guide, and then I write the dialogue. So the dialogue is kind of the next sort of big step in what each character is saying. And then once that's written up, I do the Google Docs, like I said, and then there's a good copy. Then once the script is finished and finalized, then I will start to send it out to people that I want to play the roles. So I have kind of a group of friends and some roommates that do really great voice acting, and I'm just really grateful. I'm part of like kind of a community of sort of, you know, actors and musicians and artists. So like it's really easy to just be like, hey, you know, you want to voice a character?
How about a lift?
Now you're asking too much.
Just throw me.
Yeah, sure.
I got shiz now. My eyes.
And so it's pretty easy for that because of that.
You any good with that chain?
This chain beats your tiny knife.
And I've had a lot of people in the comments sort of, you know, offer their voice up, which I have actually an idea to do, maybe a 2,000 subscriber video special where I get people, you know, in the community who've been following me to do some, maybe some kind of draw to do voiceover, some audition process, and just get you guys involved in it. So that's kind of I don't know, I think that's the first time I brought that up, but that's kind of the idea I have eventually. So let's get to 2,000. And then yeah, so the script is out, and then I basically give them a time frame, but like it's sort of a loose time frame because I'm working at my own pace as well. And but basically I want to have the recordings back so that when I'm animating I have the recording to listen to, so I can kind of make sure that flavors the animation.
He's awake.
Actually, when I first started doing this, I would animate before getting the voiceover back from my actors, and then it wouldn't always match sort of the intonation of like the action, the way that they deliver the line, and so there was this sort of disconnect. So to help with that, this is the new process, which is getting the lines back.
People in New York.
Of course, I can't, you know, for experience sake and to be able to keep working at it, I don't always get every line for every character, but I get the majority of lines, and then I'll start working on a scene. And so for a scene, I like putting together a set is basically just, I have like tons of cardboard and different, you know, different art supplies that I kind of throw together. So I've printed up brick walls, I've used spray paint, and these sets are getting better and more sophisticated as I go along. I mean, I see some crazy dioramas, obviously, that are like really expensive, or ones that I see people doing ACBA with, like some really beautiful dioramas that seem so realistic. And I'd love to work with that kind of stuff one day, but for now they kind of just live in a cardboard world, which, you know, works out, and I think kind of suits the theme anyways. And yeah, so the set building, I had these basically lots of scrap cardboard, and so I had this idea with like the duct tape to kind of make the shipping containers as like one of the main sets. And so I got all these, maybe spent like 2 days kind of building these things. They're pretty simple, but I think they kind of sell the message and of what they are, where they are, and I'm kind of glad with how they kind of turned out, you know. And now I got a bunch of these things, and I got to haul them to every house, and maybe I'll use them in another stop motion, I don't know, but I won't part with them quite yet. But yeah, super easy prop basically, or set piece. And so for anybody making stop motion, like there's so many ways, or making stop motion and building sets, like there's so many ways you can go about it. And cardboard is like one of the best ways I think and best kind of materials to use. Styrofoam is a good one as well, but a little harder to come by. But you can definitely make some great sets, and then you can print stuff up. And yeah, for pictures and things, wall mounts, like I just use all sorts of stickers and cards and all kinds of things just to kind of fill out these sets. And you know, and yeah, the odd sort of furniture piece that you can get from some dollhouse or some IKEA set. I got an IKEA set that's been doing, you know, I've used that in a lot of stop motion. Yeah, so I think that's most of the stuff to do with building the set. Yeah, so then once the set is built and I've got all that stuff, I start animating. So the animation process is a slow one. So it starts out, you know, I'll kind of just have to, slow my brain down, you know, and just really sort of zone in. It's almost meditative at this point, and it's part of the reason why I like to do it. But there is parts where obviously, you know, you figure falls a couple times, and or you're just not getting the right shot. Your back starts to hurt, and then frustration ensues. So I think I'll usually go at it for a good, you know, hour, 2 hours, and then maybe take a break. Because there's definitely a point where you want to push yourself to do the work, but you also don't want to push yourself too far that you start getting sloppy. And you know, I feel like I'm still kind of balancing that, but I'm getting better with every piece. So once I've gotten all the pictures taken, which is like kind of a process, I'll kind of go scene by scene. I'll put them onto my computer and keep it on my camera, because in case your computer explodes, you got the pictures still. So every step of the way, you kind of cover your butt. You know, you don't want to delete stuff until you feel confident that this other stuff is finished, and then you can move on. Like I only just deleted all the extra pictures that I had for the latest for this stop motion, because and it's freed up tons of space. And so that's another thing, is you're constantly kind of fighting with sort of space on the computer for space on my hard drive, basically, and it's fighting with these other videos. And like that's mostly why I kind of can't really post my other content while I'm in the crunch for finishing a stop motion, because I got so many files and so much stuff crammed on my computer for the stop motion itself that a lot of the time I can't work on these other videos. But that's going to change over time, and as I can afford, you know, more and more space on my or larger and larger hard drives, you're going to be able to see, you know, me being able to multitask between a lot of these things, which I think as every YouTuber or video creator for whatever platform, they kind of find that rhythm, and they know they can work on multiple pieces of content at the same time. What else? I use Adobe Premiere. I started out way back using Stop Motion Studio, which is just like an iPhone app. Pretty simple, great, like kind of starter kit. But then yeah, I moved on to Adobe Premiere Rush, which is another mobile version of it. Simplified, very simplified version of Adobe Premiere, but it actually gave me the basics and made it so that when I finally did start using Premiere on my computer, it wasn't so daunting, because I was already kind of familiar with the basics. So I kind of recommend anybody getting into it to kind of use these sort of apps. And yeah, so for the editing process, yeah, once we get all the pictures onto the timeline, and then you know, there's settings you have to put on so that like the pictures appear on the timeline, like at the amount of spacing that you want per second. And as for frames per second, I'm kind of like I think I kind of average out about 10, you know, 11 frames per second, and sometimes it drops for certain scenes, and sometimes it rises for other parts. Especially there's some parts where I just did not take enough pictures, so I had to just slow it down. And you know, these are things that I'll get better and clean up my act as I go along. So, but I think the average animator kind of shoots, at least stop motion animator kind of shoots for like 12 to 16 frames per second. Then you get yourself actually really smooth looking, decent animation. And I've been working my way up to that level as I go along. So you can see a big difference between this one and say my Avengers or X-Men one that came out before the Spider-Man one that came out before the Defenders one. If I didn't confuse you guys enough just then. My first process is just getting all the pictures kind of laid out in the proper order that I want them to come out in, and the different sequences. So when I'm filming it, like I'll shoot things out of order, you know, different scenes out of order, even different moments. Like I'll need to get some inserts. I get it all on the timeline, sort of like how it's supposed to be with no audio, and you just let it play, and usually it plays for like 2 minutes or whatever, you know, for a 15-minute video, and you have it all sort of set out in front of you. And so the next step is to start taking the audio, which all the voiceover, and that's where I start implementing and adding that in. So then I have to like extend pictures and repeat pictures and freeze frame pictures, and so that I can get these dialogues fit into the line. So you'll just see like this timeline stretch out as more dialogue and stuff is added in. And so at this part of the process, I sort of begin to have kind of this organic sort of meshing between going back and having to add in more script lines, because when I'm doing the animation, sometimes there's moments where I don't think of it on the writing part or in the script, and it's more sporadic in the moment, like having like a overview shot that I didn't think of, and then maybe I need sort of a line from the character kind of looking over everyone. So that once that happens, I have to kind of talk to the voice actors, my friends, and sort of say, hey, I got some extra lines here for this scene, or you know, maybe I need you to do it this way. So we're kind of going back and forth. I'm adding a few things to the script, and so the script, the pictures, and the voiceover are all kind of in this flux while I'm trying to get it all to match, basically, because yeah, like I said, the script isn't going to predict everything that I animate, and even for the voiceover, sometimes people will say really great golden lines and I don't have an animation for it, so I got to go back and just do a quick little thing and then add that in. So it's at that point where it's starting to feel like it's coming together. And so once all that is like tight and I've got all the lines implemented that I wanted, all the scenes, all the pictures, then I go into basically sound effects.
You're the biggest idiot I've ever met.
I'm part of the Kingpins plan. Yeah, but now I'm pissed. Oh, don't look up.
Which sound effects was a lot of fun for this particular one. I've gotten a lot better at picking and finding sound effects. The main website I use is freesound.org. It's kind of by donation, and people can upload and put whatever sounds they want up there. And so I recommend going on there, you know, giving them a little donation when you got a chance. But they're just a great resource, and I find so many sound effects on there, and I was able to just basically bring so much life to this stop motion. So yeah, once the sound effects are implemented, I also do the kind of ambient and music, the ambient sounds and music. So that's kind of, I found a lot of those actually on Freesound as well, but there's obviously other places you can go with that. And just when it comes to music, you always got to be careful with copyright law, especially on YouTube. They'll strike your video down and you won't be able to monetize it, or they'll force you to delete it or something. So yeah, just be aware of that when you're looking for sounds and stuff and music. Yeah, for music for this one, I kind of wanted to sort of hit this like 1970s, 1980s kind of TV show, cop TV show vibe.
Watch your back, man. I'll watch yours.
Yeah, man.
We're not splitting the fee.
I used a lot of like, you know, bongos and sort of saxophone and flute, and I just really wanted to emphasize like that, or even the old 70s kung fu movies.
3-on-1? Oh, come on, guys, that's not fair. For you!
Kind of like Tarantino style, so I had a lot of that in my mind for like music and sort of setting and tone, and even actually the costumes I used, I wanted to make sure they were sort of appropriate for that, and they all kind of fit together. I really like these bright, vibrant costumes, so that was like another kind of executive decision for this. And so once that is implemented, then I do color correction on each scene and add in any extra overlays. Like I had the Fisk on the TV and JJ on the TV, and I had some rain coming down from the sky. Actually, if anybody knows how to kind of mediate the sort of graininess and sort of sharpen these pictures and keep the quality, like just let me know in the comments what you guys, if you're an animator, if you're familiar with this stuff, like how do you maintain the quality of your video while exporting and trying to get it to its final product. So just I would be very much appreciative of some advice on that. But yeah, so then the final kind of things are the end credit, which is where I'll usually record my little address, thanking all the people that helped me make it, and thank you guys, the viewer, and the people who created Hasbro and fucking Hasbro and Marvel and all that, and make sure to credit everybody that was in it. And at that point, it's the upload process. Pretty much the final step where you upload it to YouTube, Rumble, whatever website, TikTok, Instagram, and you're basically, naming the video, picking that perfect thumbnail, which the thumbnail, it's a whole nother thing of importance, and making sure that that thumbnail is going to grab the audience. I've been wanting to get Photoshop so that I can start making custom sort of thumbnail sort of posters for these stop motions, and I might go back and redo some of the thumbnails of my previous videos, but once I've gotten this app and I've kind of learned it a little bit, but that's just sort of later down the line. But definitely one of those important things. And yeah, the title I always come up with, I have this sort of theme with my titles where it's like, Avengers face, Spider-Man meets, or the X-Men fight. Like, I kind of like this theme that I've been doing, instead of just kind of like the ... and then you have the title under here. It's kind of wanting to harken back to kind of old school sort of animation, and the way they would present titles and stuff in like the Silver Age. Once the video is uploaded and everything is entered in, all the tags, which the tags is another really important thing, and for tags I always just go to YouTube and I type in Marvel Legends stop motion or Marvel Legends Defenders, or whatever the theme is, and I just look at all the different suggestions that come up, and I just make sure to add the whole list basically into my search terms, so that people know, so I can see all the popular terms that are searched when it's related to Marvel stop motion, and I can just put those right into the tags so that people go right to those videos. So yeah, this is actually the final stage. I know that I keep saying this. Every time you feel like you're done, there's like one other stage, but these are basically like kind of checkpoints, basically, where you know that you're almost done. So this last final part is basically just sharing the shit out of this of the video. So taking that video, putting it on pages on Facebook that are related to stop motion, Marvel, Defenders, Daredevil, whatever, or Reddit, or Twitter, any of these places. I just share it on Instagram. I share it everywhere, and yeah, it's just to get as much people who are interested in that niche, to put it in their face and to show them like, hey, check it out, let me know what you guys think. One of the things to be careful with when you're just sharing stuff, though, is to make sure that for those groups that they actually allow just like, random posting. I always try to, like, when I'm about to post, like I go through the feeds of these groups and I like stuff, I comment, I make sure to be engaged in the group a little bit, so that way I'm not just shit posting and then piecing out, which yeah, I did that a lot early on, but it's not the way to go, because you'll get basically banned from a lot of pages, and you won't be able to kind of advertise that way. But it is the best way to advertise, is to put it on these other pages, and you just gotta find the right ones, and just be respectful. And then you just kind of wait, and you just wait to hear what people have to say about it. Watch the view counter go up. And so for this one, like, I think within the first 2 days it was already at 130 views, so it did very well, very, very well. I'm still waiting to kind of see how it's going to compare to the Spider-Man one before it, because that one was probably one of the fastest rising videos. I always check Marvel Legends stop motions for search terms, and I look at the list, and so in the first day it was posted, it was like 4th on the list. So that's great, because they'll always put the new videos right up at the very top, and then a day or two later it starts pushing down. So I actually checked it like 3 days later, and the video wasn't even on Marvel Legends stop motion on that front page, and it's a little disheartening to see it like kind of drop out of the list so quickly, especially when you like see some stop motions that just seem to never leave like the top of that list of videos. And it's like, I don't want to seem like too envious, but it is like hard. But these people tend to work really hard, and they are the best of the best, the ones that are at the very top, whose videos are always being suggested. And it's because they're just posting every day and they're active. And I think that's part of what keeps their videos at the very top, is because YouTube is saying like, oh well, these guys are posting all the time and these are popular videos, and even if they're an older video, they keep it up because they know that it's going to keep people viewing it. And I guess because my channel was ghosted YouTube for a little bit, it just kind of it just disappeared from the feed because of that, because they're not expecting anything else. But there is stuff coming out, so just bear with me, YouTube. God. But the reception, anyways, has been really, really awesome. Really great comments. Some awesome people that have been watching for a while, sort of welcoming me back, and some new people too, getting inspired and checking out my stuff. And I'm seeing there's so many new animators popping up, and 400, 500, 600 subscribers, and they're gaining fast, and I can already see like some of these guys are already exponentially better than me at what we do. But the whole thing is like we all kind of work together and we build off each other, and you send some viewers here, you send your viewers there, and you kind of just build and grow together. It's like all about this little community, this little niche on YouTube about action figure stop motion. So but yeah, so I think that pretty much wraps up this sort of in-depth behind the scenes kind of breakdown of my process, and for this particular video as well. So thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate all the support, and comment, let me know what you guys think of my process. What kind of things do you do if you're an animator? What do you do and how do you break up all these steps? If you're really good, really advanced, and you're one of those 100,000 subscriber guys out there checking this out, then let me know how to expedite my process, shorten it, cut out steps, make things go faster, because like that's part of where I'm at right now. It's just, I feel like I'm putting out good content, but it's just like the rate at which it's coming out is just not fast enough yet, so yeah. And like the video if you like the video, and ring the bell if you want instant notifications. I know YouTube will sometimes kind of basically shadow your stuff, and you could be subscribed to somebody, but unless like it's a video or something that you've been watching a lot recently, they won't suggest it on your subscriber list at the very top, which really kind of is annoying, because it used to be that you'd post something and whatever the timeline in which you had posted it would basically be in your subscriber list, right? But now it's like whatever video YouTube thinks you're going to click first is going to be at the very top, and you might not even see a subscriber that you've been following. And I've had people comment being like, wow, I this video came out, I didn't even know. Well, that's why. So make sure you ring the bell. Please. Well, you know what, that subscriber count still counts for something. So if you can subscribe, please subscribe if you love this. Thank you for watching.